Okay, this is Project 4.1. It's about a moving company getting the full price calculated using weight and mileage and yes or no check box on a setup and installation of furniture. So it's producing a total for the user, a total cost, and just like the other previous project and in all the projects so far, it has an HTML file and a JavaScript file, and then it's got a CSS file. The CSS file you don't really need to do anything to, except make sure that when you download these files and you get the three project files to work with, and you're going to save them somewhere on your system. They need to be in the same place, the same folder, so they can all find each other easily. They're going to be set up to find each other easily. So starting out with that, in the HTML file itself, you need this script tag that will link to the JavaScript file. And there's the source attribute right there with the listing for the JavaScript file. I've changed the name of my file just a bit. I added the word completed because I've got a starting version of these files and then a completed version of these files. So, but you need to add that line right there to make sure that your HTML file can find the JavaScript and make use of it. Okay. All right. So that's important. Other changes that were on this, let's see, I don't think there were a lot of changes in the HTML file on this. We'll go back and check let's see if I can find the project here. It's chapter 4, and I think it's 4.1. Oh my gosh, this expires constantly. Hopefully it'll let me back in. They won't let me just sit here and work with this. Okay, so going back and finding chapter 4 again, and looking in here, we've got hands-on projects and project 4.1. It's debugging challenge. I guess there's a few bugs in this that they're having you find. There's a few more steps in this one, so let's just try to take this pretty quickly. I'm not gonna do everything that we did previously. That you do have to put that. You do have to add that script element, that script tag that will link the source for the JavaScript file into the HTML file, which I just showed you. And then we're going to they do and I'd like for you to do this too, is to add your name and the date. Add your name as the author and put a date on the JavaScript file right up here. I think they're asking for it somewhere. Maybe I accidentally took it out, but it'd be nice to have that put in somewhere up here. I don't think it's on the. Well, there it is right there. That's the HTML file. You can put the stuff right there. Okay. That way I know that you've at least had the file open and are working with it. Okay. All right. So let's get the next little step here. Couple logic here. Oh, okay. So this is pretty basic. Okay. In the JavaScript file, where it has the constant variables and I think I did probably take some stuff out of here, but it still works. These constant variables right here. Cost per pound, cost per mile. Those start out being just 50 and 75. They need to be 0.50 and 0.75 because we're talking about fractions of a dollar here. Okay, so you got to put the decimal place in there. That's what it's talking about, a logic error. It'll calculate. There's no syntax error, but it's not going to calculate it right. So you've got to get the decimal in. Okay, so that's what it's talking about when it wants you to change and fix a logic error. Okay, right here. 2 logic errors in the global constants. locate and fix those errors. That's not too hard to do. Okay, that's number 4. Number 5, calc total function. Okay, so here's what's going on with this. This is the new thing that they put in here, the try-catch section. Okay, it's typically called a try-catch block, and for both the weight and the distance or the mileage, you don't want to multiply by 0 or by a negative number. Okay, so that would be an error. That would be a logic error. The user would not get a very good result. It's not going to reflect anything that's worth having the web page for. So we want to guard against letting the user enter by accident or any other reason a 0 or a negative number. Okay, so this is where this comes in, the try-catch section. And total cost is going to be a variable that starts out at 0. And again, this is a variable that we keep adding to through the course of the code on the for the web page. Okay, for the in the process of calculating a total amount that'll be owed. It starts out at 0, and then it adds and gets a new total by putting in the weight that the user's estimating they've got, and the cost per pound. So the cost per pound does not change. I will say that these constant variables, this constant declaration for a variable, both of these up here, in fact there's 3 of them, those cannot change throughout the course of a program. And this is typical. They're typically all capped, okay, for the name of the variable. That indicates a constant that cannot change. It cannot be reassigned a new value. Once it's declared like this, it's stuck, okay? And that's a good thing, because we don't really want it to change. We know what the cost is for that, and the user, we shouldn't accidentally set anything up that the user could make a change to. Okay, so getting down in here, as we are tallying up the total cost, we want to get the weight. Okay, and that weight box dot value, we're gonna try running that, and right immediately after that line of code, we want to put try, and what that's going to do is immediately check for a negative number to see if we have a negative number. So we're saying if the weight box value, the value that the user puts into the weight box, which is let me see where I have this. I think there we go, is right here. Okay, that's the weight box. That's the distance box. That's the check box that you can check. Let me make this larger so you guys can see it better. That's the check box you check for a one-time fee for installation, and then a total. Okay, so if I uncheck that, of course it goes down to 0. It's a one-time fee. So we're checking for zeros in these 2 boxes. That is kind of a big deal. That's the whole point of this. Really, one of the biggest points of this particular project. So if this is less than 0, if the weight value turns out to be less than or equal to 0, it's going to throw an exception or an error, and we're gonna just put something, a message in there that says to the user, please enter a positive weight. You need to enter a positive weight for this to work, and it will catch the error if it's thrown and send that error to a message box. Messagebox.enterHTML equals error variable, either ERR. Okay, so this is now this is a little confusing, I think. Okay, because this isn't always taught necessarily. When you JavaScript has these these pieces of code, the try and the catch, this is built into JavaScript. JavaScript understands what to do with this. When it encounters this try code, it will look for if there is something that goes wrong that the programmer puts the case in for. Okay, in this case, if it does turn out that the value that the user entered is less than 0, this throw keyword is something that JavaScript automatically recognizes. It automatically sends this as a parameter to the catch function, and the catch function is customized in this case to output that error message to the message box, which is in our project. Let me see if I think it's right here. Okay, let me make sure I've got this correct. Okay, so if I have 0 here and I go up here, I get an error message right here. Now you can't see that there's a box there, okay, but that's an area. I think it's a span tag that will take a message that you can put a message to. It's ID'd, and we can write inner HTML to it, and that's what we're doing. And this is also a really good example of the use of that CSS file that's hidden, that we don't see. We don't really need to do anything with it, but it makes that text red. Somewhere in the CSS file, the message box is getting red text. Okay, I'm not sure where that exactly would be in here. I don't know if it's I'm not sure. There it is right there. Okay, color red, span message box. Okay, so that's what that's the usefulness of the CSS file. We don't have to touch it. We don't have to do anything with it. It's just been built for us to make things look good and make the project kind of easier to work with. Okay, in this case. Anyhow, the try-catch situation, this is it. This is how it works for the weight. And then we'll have one just about exactly like it for the mileage, because we can't multiply by 0 there either, or a negative number. We're going to get a negative number. We can't be paying people to move them. So it has to be a positive amount. Okay, so same process. You've got the if statement inside the try section of code. It will throw. We can customize this error that it will throw. We can make it say anything we want to, but the throw is a keyword. You can't change that. Okay, the try, the catch, the brackets, the parameter in between the parentheses of the catch. You can put anything right here. It could just be E for error. Whoever wrote the book used ERR. That's fine. You can change that, but you can't change the try and the brackets, the catch and the brackets. You can't change the throw, the keyword throw. Those are set. But the rest of it, you can change. You can test for anything you want to in here in the if statement, and you can send any message you want to. And the idea is to give the user some useful feedback as to what might be wrong if they're not working with the program or the web page the right way. Okay, so then we tally up again. There's a tally there. Total cost. I don't think we need to have this in here twice. I think I've got this in here twice. Just leave that out. I don't think it makes a difference. I would put it before the try catch. It's done here. I had it here, a second one after it. I think I moved it and didn't take the first one I had in out. Okay, so then you've got this other check, and this is not something that we have to check for bad user input for, because a checkbox, it's either checked or it's not. There's nothing there. There's no options. It's a Boolean value. It's true or it's false. It's checked or it's not, and the user can't mess that up. It's either one or the other. Okay, so we're going to add the extra $500. The setup cost is a constant variable. It's not a variable, a constant value. It's set up as a setup cost. It's constantly $500. 500. Okay, so we'll add that here if the user has checked it. Okay, if it's checked, and there's the get element by ID setup box that is right over here in the HTML, right here. Okay, setup box ID setup label, and there's the setup box right there. Okay, so if that's checked, we can check it by the ID. We can see what the value of it is, whether it's checked or not. That's asking the question right there. If this is true, that it is checked, then add the setup cost in. Okay, and then you get the total, and its output, of course, via inner HTML to the total box. And the last thing that's on here, you don't have to do anything with it, but I'll just tell you a little bit about it. This format currency is a custom function that whoever wrote the book created, but they're using a number. They're putting a $sign in front of it right here when they return it for output to the total box in the HTML page. They're prefixing it with a $sign, and then they're taking the value and using a JavaScript function to that will force that number into a 2 decimal place decimal number so it looks like money. Okay, so it's a monetary value. Okay, so that's about it for this. It works here. If I put in the amount of money, I know they've got amounts for us to check. I can't remember what they were right offhand. Maybe I've got them. I think it was 2,500 and 1,200. 1,200 for the mileage and 2,500 for the weight. See if I can get that done. The weight is 2,500 and the mileage is 1,200, and I forget what it was supposed to tally up to. 2,650. Okay, well that's if I put a 0 in for the first value. I'm not sure I'm gonna. Maybe that'll work. 1,800, 2,300. I'm not sure what I'm doing with this, but I'm thinking it's working pretty good. Test your code. Okay. Enter a 0. Okay. I'm not going to pursue that anymore. Hopefully I can get this correct. I guess I'm going to need to read this. Test your code by entering 0. Okay, enter a positive, change the weight to 2,500. Enter a mileage of 1,200 miles. That's 1,200 miles, 2,500 pounds. Maybe if I undo this. I'm not sure why I'm not getting the right number, but I don't want to give it to you wrong. 1,200 for the mileage. Okay, 1,200 miles. Well, I'm not sure why that doesn't come up to be 2,650. Maybe they don't have it correct. Maybe I don't have it correct. Pretty sure it's correct though. It's 0.50 and 0.75. I'm pretty sure that's it. Let's just make sure that's what it says. I won't keep you very long here. Doesn't tell me what these set these up for, but they were 50 and 25 and 75. So I'll look at that. If there's any issue with this being right or wrong, I will correct it. I'll send out an announcement. But I think this is going to work out fine. Okay. If there's any questions, let me know. Thanks a lot, and I will I'll be back with something else if we need some more help.